My friends, because Texas is so energy intensive, our comptroller even said that it would have a greater adverse impact on us. And that's why earlier this week, our Texas governor announced that Texas was suing the EPA to stop it from using bad science to promote bad things. My friends, but that doesn't mean that we don't recognize that we have a moral obligation to take care of the earth that God gave us. But we can have a healthy economy and a healthy environment at the same time. The choice is between those on the left that want to use regulation, taxation, and litigation, and those of us here that recognize that we can get to a clean environment by spurring innovation and entrepreneurship and new technology. And there are races. We have to do a couple of things. We have to recognize that energy is the lifeblood of this country. And when you're talking about power, you got to recognize that 60% of this economy, when it's going and growing, runs off of firms that are driven by electricity. We've got to protect the ability to make affordable power. So we've got to do four things. We've got to go and drill for American energy wherever we have American energy. We've got to drill for it on the West Coast, the East Coast, the eastern part of the Gulf of Mexico, the Rocky Mountains, and oh, by the way, drill in the ANWR. My friends, beyond that, we've got to do something else. We've got to bring the nukes back. We haven't built a new nuclear power plant since 1979. And think about this one fact. 75% of the electric power in France is nuclear fired. 35% of the nuclear power in Japan is nuclear fired. My goodness, if the French can figure it out, surely we can. In order to do that, we're going to have to streamline the regulatory regime. We're going to have to accelerate research and development of Generation 4 nuclear power plants. We'll have to remove the bureaucratic roadblocks. And we're also going to have to enact a loser pay rule that says that those who want to file frivolous lawsuits to stop the building of nuclear power plants, they're going to have to pay. The third thing that we'll have to do, and I was like you, I went to the, I listened to all of the campaign rhetoric in the last presidential race, and I heard the president say he was for hope and change. I just hope he changes. And there's one area where I hope he changes. And I hope he changes. CO2 is a commodity. It's not a waste, it's not a pollutant. Al Gore may be afraid of CO2, but I got oil men that pay $20 a ton for it. My friends, we have to advance the new technologies for carbon capture and storage. And one of the things that we're doing in Texas today, the Texas legislature passed legislation that says if you build a power plant and the primary fuel is coal, and you can reduce the emissions as great a level as we have today and capture the CO2 and use it for enhanced oil recovery, we'll give you a credit against your margins tax. You realize today 200,000 barrels of oil is produced in Texas every day using CO2, pushing it in the ground to push that oil back up. And there's 5.5 billion barrels left that we know of. And there are tens of billions across America. But friends, the last thing we have to do is advance the knowledge of wind storage technology. Some of you know that in Texas we lead the country in the promotion of wind energy. It's not hot air from Austin, it's actually wind energy. About 9,000 megawatts of wind power, more wind power than the next 3 states combined, and more wind power than all but 4 countries in the world. But God had a sense of humor. He put the sweet spot for Texas wind way out in West Texas. And he put the demand load where the population center is in Dallas-Fort Worth. He just wanted to make sure we could figure out how to get that West Texas wind all the way to DFW. And so, just like in Texas, what we'll have to do all across the country is build additional transmission lines. He also said something else. I'm going to give you guys a riddle. He said, I'm going to let the wind blow real hard in the early morning and in the early evening, but not in the middle of the day when you're at work and school. He said, I'm going to add another little trick to that. He said, I'm going to have the wind blow stronger in September, October, and November rather than June, July, and August. But there are technologies that we need to unleash that believe they're that close to building the energy storage capacity so that we can generate the wind when it's blowing, but save it until we need it. My friends, the core of how we're going to turn the light on so our youngsters can study and we can do our work around the house is going to be natural gas and clean coal and nuclear power. But we're going to complement it with wind and solar and biomass and greater energy efficiency. And when we do that, we'll continue making sure that America is the greatest place in the world. My friends, may the peace of the Lord be with you. May God bless you. May God bless America.